everyone, my name is Tai Kadiri and I'm going to be anchoring the very first episode of the Trade Talk podcast. Today on the show we have Dr. Dili Ayemibo, the exports doctor, and he's going to be answering some questions that are related to international trade. So questions you had lingering for a very long time, he's going to be answering them today. So I'll be going over questions and we'll be answering them. So the first question I have here is, how can small businesses start exporting their products internationally?
Small business, sometimes it's good to define small business because small is relative. So it's good because of the audience, it's good we define what we see as small businesses. If you say small, are you saying small in terms of the amount of money the person has to export? So in this context now, I will see small as anybody doing a shipment of less than 5 million naira, just for context sake. Now, but I don't also want, because we have audience that are outside Nigeria, let's use it in dollar terms, maybe a transaction of less than $5,000, let's say $5,000 a million. It'll be a small in this context. Now I need to define that so that whoever is listening can know that, okay, if they say small, because some people might think small is $100, $200. So we need to define what small is. And the reason why it's small is because it cannot fit a container. So you might have to ship either by air. Air will be very expensive. You might have to ship using a container, but you do group it. That means you are sharing container with someone. As long as you are not shipping a whole container overnight, but you are sharing with someone, most likely the cost you are incurring is under $5,000. So now, having cleared that, define what small is now, can you ask the question again?
Okay, how can small businesses start exporting their products internationally?
Now, again, I want to know the objective of that. Small businesses or how can businesses? Let me tell you why I say that. Because the way a small business will start is different from the way a big business will start.
Okay.
A big business can start, it's just like Dangote. Dangote finish a refinery. Because of the name, it's easy and the money they have, it's easy for Dangote to set up a branch in Caribbean island. Last weekend, he met with one of the prime ministers in Caribbean island. I think it's even the head of the the different country Caribbean island, they are trading block. Now, it's easy because it's a big business, so they can set up a branch, they can form an alliance, they can set up subsidiary because they are big. Now, for small business, one thing I would say is that a small business must first of all become export ready. And maybe because of this conversation and substance, we'll be talking seriously on the issue of export readiness. Because the reason, the businesses that fail in export, most of the time, big business fail, but most of the time, small businesses. And the reason small business fail because of the challenge of export readiness. So if I have a question again about, okay, how can a small business start? I would say the small business should go and learn about all the area of readiness required for a business that wants to go into export business. Do a readiness assessment and be able to identify in that mix where are the issues, where are the challenges, what are the area of readiness that is missing. So, for example, there are 15 areas of readiness. I won't be able to go through it now. We'll discuss in the next episode. But let's say you have issue with product. Product is, in fact, let's start with first of promoter, the owner of the business. So, if the promoter is the one that have issues, because if you do a readiness assessment on 3tbest.com website, you'll be able to see on the report the area you're lacking. And when you identify the area you're lacking, can then begin to say, okay, I'm lacking in this area. Because I'm lacking in this area, this is one of the things I need to go and work on to become export ready. So for small businesses, this is very important. For big businesses, you already have a lot of system and structure in place. So a lot of issues that small businesses will have that will make them to be ready. The big business, even if they don't have the competence, they can hire a consultant, can come in and fill in that gap for them. And before you know it, they're able to jumpstart the process. But a small business will not be able to do that. So getting ready will be my first thing I would say they should go and do. That means do your readiness assessment and identify those areas where you're lacking, and then go and get the right knowledge or training or capacity in those areas so as to become export ready.
Okay, so my next question will be for businesses, maybe not businesses, someone who is looking at exporting and doesn't produce.
Okay.
He's not a manufacturer. How can that person venture into export?
As a matter of fact, thinking that I should be a producer for export is a misnomer, because why should I have to produce? If you look at the value chain of a regular business that will go into export, R&D, research and development, production, marketing, sales and export. R&D, production, marketing and export. I'm an exporter. I export product that I don't produce. So a good example that I export is Indomie noodles. I'm not in the R&D space of Indomie. I'm not in the production space. I'm not even in the marketing place. I'm in the sales and export. So a business, in my opinion, a business should not be in all the areas. Why? Business tends to have core area of competence. Let them focus on it. So for example, if you look at Apple deal with their R&D. Apple also handle their marketing, but they're not into production and they're not in sales and export. That way, it helps the business to focus on its core area of competence. So, what that then means is that a business that wants to go into export should be thinking of partnering with a manufacturer to sell. I export pap. I have clients who have pap, the pap I export produced in their own brand name. I export it in the name of the producer, but they can export in their own brand name. So that means they produce for them. So, in the case of pap, I'm not in R&D, I'm not in production, but I'm in marketing and I'm in export. Unlike noodles, I don't do the marketing because it's a brand that is already known. So I don't need to do a lot of marketing. That's why you can't go to Indomie Nigeria, for example, telling them that they should produce noodle for you in your brand. Nobody knows you. You are not likely going to be able to sell as much as you sell it as Indomie noodles that is already known. But the pap I'm selling is it's not a very well-known brand, even though it's known in some markets in Nigeria. But I have clients who the lady producing is producing for them in their own brand. So meaning I don't need to be the producer of the item of export. And this makes it easier to be able to start. As a matter of fact, let's say I want to export, I want to be producing cashew nut. I can afford to sell off cashew nut. This cashew nut probably will be cost me 1 billion, 2 billion naira. Even if I have that money, I don't recommend that you set up the processing plant. I would rather you get company that you buy from and export. When you develop that market, then you can in fact, at that point, banks will be willing to give you money to be able to set up your processing plant. So a business going into export should find it should be one of the strategies should be that I'm going to go into that market at low entry level. That means I'm not going to incur a lot of cost as I enter the market. I'm going to go in at a lower level to be able to get suppliers who will supply me and produce for me in my brand. When I've developed the market, then I can begin to do backward integration and say I want to produce myself. Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to ask a follow-up question. So, in the case where there is somebody who produces and then multiple people come to meet you to produce for them, what's the guarantee that you're not going to be having like the same products bearing this different?
Yes. Let me give you an example. We're in Surulere, Lagos, having this conversation. If you go to, there's a mechanic, is it mechanic village now? A particular street called Clegg in Ugoleba in Surulere, where a lot of people sell different products there. Spare parts, yes. If you get there, you're going to see battery in shop A, shop B, shop C with different brand name from the same factory.
Okay. So how do you now distinguish between
the brand name? The brand name.
Something is supposed to be unique about, maybe for instance, an edible commodity. Something is supposed to be unique about the product. So if I come to a producer and say, can you please help me produce this thing? Can I give like a secret recipe?
Exactly. But you have to have an agreement that this recipe will not manufacture for anybody. You now have to monitor to ensure it doesn't do that. Because if that recipe becomes very successful, I won't be surprised if it's produced for someone else because it's not your factory. But you're right. If it's food item, I can have my recipe formula and I can say, okay, produce this thing for me. Use this percentage of this. Maybe I have 4 items. Item 1, 10%. So if you have 1 kg of this item, I want to put 1 kg. Item 1, 10%, that's 100 grams. Item 2, 5%, that's 50 grams. Item 3, item 1, 10%, item 2, 50%. Item 3, 30%, that's 300 grams. And item 4, 20%, that's 200 grams. Now, I can give that combination to get a particular taste. And I can tell them this is what I want. I mean, see what they produce already, they can produce it for me. That should not be a problem at all. But the challenge is because they now know the secret to my recipe, I need to have that agreement, non-disclosure agreement, to ensure that if for any reason someone else is found to be having this kind of product, then you bear the responsibility because you're the only one that knows.
So what?
How many manufacturers will do that is what I don't know.
Okay, so what if there's a case where somebody else, the manufacturer did not disclose the recipe to somebody else, but somebody else now,
The person will not do exactly the same. It's not likely the person will do it. He might do just like Coca-Cola. Other brand like Pepsi, but it's still not
still unique.
Yes, it's still unique. So it won't be exact, but it's possible. Look, there's no way people will not copy. In fact, we are talking about international trade here. If you are selling the international market, people are going to get your product and going to find a solution. And the reason why it's easy to copy it, they can take it to lab and analyze the content.
Okay.
And be able to find out what are the constituents and probably what are the percentages that might not be exact, but to a large extent might be very similar.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to the next question.
Okay.
The next question here is about exportable items and items that are not exportable.
Okay.
So let's use Nigeria.
When you say exportable item, what do you mean?
So for instance, there are goods or commodities that are contraband.
Okay. So, because when you say exportable, there are products also that can be exported, but they are not being exported.
Okay.
So I understand you may go ahead.
So what kind of commodities are exportable and which ones are not?
No, I would rather we just talk about the one that's not exportable. Anything that is not on the list, I'm going to give you now, because the list of items that cannot be exported are very few. Okay. So in Nigeria, for example, and now if you are listening to us from Ghana, from Kenya, from outside Africa, different countries have different products that are not allowed for export. But in Nigeria, we have corn or maize, not allowed for export, prohibited. We have unprocessed rubber, latter and rubber lump, it's prohibited. We have scrap metal, it's prohibited. We have artifact and antiquities, is prohibited. We have animal classified as endangered species, is prohibited. We have unprocessed leather, is prohibited. Unprocessed wood is prohibited. And all imported items are prohibited. Now, any other thing outside that is allowed for export in Nigeria.
Okay.
However, in exporting there, you might now need some certification, regulation, depending on the organization. So, for example, if I want to export food items, I will need NAFDAC. If I want to export artwork, I will need National Museum approval. If I want to export solid minerals, I will need Ministry of Mines. So now it depends on the product I want to export might now require some form of certification and regulation or the other. But apart from those 7 or 8 different group of products, any other thing is allowed for export from Nigeria.
Okay. So if, for instance, I want to export solid minerals,
okay,
and I'm supposed to get some kind of certification for that.
Okay.
But then I go to where the required body, and then the certification is not available or accessible. What is the way forward?
No. When you say available or accessible, there are requirements now. So the certification, for every certification, you need to get there are requirements. So the question is, when it's not available, I don't think it will not be available. It's you not meeting up with the criteria they've set. The certification is there. So if I need to get certification, for example, let's give solid minerals. Solid minerals in Nigeria, they will say you must have paid royalty. Meaning, if you have not paid that royalty fee that the mine is supposed to pay to the government, you as an exporter for that good leave Nigeria, you pay that royalty, and among other things, like of course you have to be registered company limited liability, you have to be a taxpayer, you have your tax clearance in the last 3 years, you need to have a number of other requirements that every business will have. In addition to that, you now have to have a license that allows you to be able to export this product. But they won't give you that license if you don't meet their criteria. So now the criteria are possible to meet. A lot of businesses are meeting those criteria. For you to know, sometimes in Nigeria, because of who we are and the way we do business, what I often recommend is most of the time retiree of those government agencies become consultants that help people because they know what to do and they have insider to help them get those things done. So you might be able to get that done. If that might just increase your fee a little because you have to engage someone, but you can get it done actually.
Okay, all right. So this is related to exchange rates.
Okay.
So the question is, given the persistent rise in exchange rates,
okay,
is now a good time to start an export business or even continue exporting for those who are ready to get business?
Oh, you're asking me to say a good time?
Yes.
Of course. You know, if Nigeria is a productive country, we shouldn't really complain about increased exchange rates. Some countries adjust and manipulate their exchange rates to go up to encourage their exporter to keep exporting to make more money. US have accused China of doing this. I think Japan also sometimes even does this. Because when a country is highly productive, the currency, the demand for dollar is low. Because of the demand low, the value of their own currency goes up. Vis-a-vis other currency. That then discourages export. So some countries give their producer and exporter incentive, such that if you export, they can give you 5, 10, 15% in grant of the value of what you exported. Because the currency is appreciating. In Nigeria, the currency is depreciating. So for third world developing country, it's an opportunity. You know, it's funny because something that should be an opportunity. Yes, now because how do I describe it? It's like this should be good news.
I think we are shying away from it because
it's because we are not productive. So, and then the little effort we do more of commodities. When you do commodities, you are in the lower part of the value chain. What that means is that you're not going to get enough value of enough money for what you're exporting. So let me give you a good example. If I'm exporting cashew and I'm doing raw cashew nut, a ton of raw cashew nut can be maybe $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 per metric ton. If I remove the shell and I'm exporting cashew kernel, I can sell for as high as $7,000, $8,000, sometimes $9,000, $10,000 per metric ton. So the more value I add to a product, the higher the amount I can make from it. So that means if the country is productive, we'll make more money from exports. Because currently, I have friends who are into exports who are adding value from primary to secondary, and they are making so much money. This guy is exporting, the rate is 1,500. Now, the rate is 1,600. It will still go up. I'm not selling yet. It will still go up. I'm not selling yet. Do you understand? And he's going to wait. Sometimes he's expecting $500,000, $700,000, and he's going to wait, and he's going to make, it can be making over 50, 100 million extra just because we're in this economy. But in the same economy, the importers are complaining. This is the reason why an importer should inevitably consider generating forex. In fact, if you're in a developing country and you're into importation, you have billions to pay in forex, and you don't generate forex and endanger business. Endanger in the sense that business will die just a matter of time. Because the rate keeps going up, that means you keep increasing your price. If your product is not water, it's not air, it's not food that people must eat, they will look for alternative. And when you look for alternative, that means you lose your customer. So, but if you are able to generate forex, you can sell cheaper than your competitor and take advantage of and take a larger share of the market. So, the exchange rate as it is in Nigeria right now is an opportunity. However, it's still a risk. Only that I would say 9-10% ratio. Sorry, 90 to 10% ratio. The chance you will lose money in Nigeria because of exchange as an exporter is 10%. The chance you will make money is 90%.
That's a good.
Yes, exactly. I've been exporting since 2008, 2009. I've only experienced a situation in which I export at a rate, and when payment came, the rate dropped only once, and that was 2009 during the financial crisis. I exported charcoal to Germany. Euro was 210. Euro that is almost 2,000 now. Euro was 210. That euro became 190 when I got paid. 20 naira. It was almost at a loss. That's the only time I can say I remember vividly that I did a shipment. This was the rate before when I was shipping, and this was the rate after. Since that time, you see that the rate is at the same period, at the same rate, maybe 2-3 naira difference at the same rate. It has moved a lot better. That has been the experience. And that's good for export, particularly in developing countries. But as the developing countries become developed and grow in their productive capacity, now, and they are having less and less demand for FX, their currency will begin to appreciate. That's why some developed countries like Japan or developing countries like China sometimes manipulate their currency, as US accuse them, to be able to ensure that they don't want their currency to appreciate at a faster rate. Can you imagine? They don't want it to appreciate at a faster rate. They want to depreciate. Why? To encourage their exporters, because the exporters make more money when the currency.
That means Nigerians should actually see it.
This is the time for Nigeria to be a lot better. That's why sometimes you wonder if we really know what we want or if we are serious. Because this is a time that the government should go, the president should be going on every state, encouraging governors, preaching to them to support every effort initiative. For one reason or the other, it's not something we are doing. It just, I have to talk to my friends in government. What is going on? Say, we are working. Okay, we keep waiting. It's 2 years already. It's almost 2 years already.
I think it's because we are not industrious. A lot of Nigerians are not, or productive.
They don't want to.
We produce. I export this year, at least this year, every other month we are exporting at least a container load of an item, at least. And they are all value-added manufactured goods in Nigeria.
So what's now the issue?
Good. Awareness. Number one, incentive of the government. If government today said, if you export, we will give you funds to support you, you'll be shocked. People will come in. There must be some, because I'm doing my business locally, I'm making money. Why should I bother about export? Export is another headache now. But now government said if I export, they'll give me tax break, they'll give me this incentive, they'll give me this support. I will go and export now because I want me to make more money. Because government, and that's what a lot of countries do that are serious about export. They encourage businesses to want to do, such that even if you are not interested before, because of the benefit, you say, let's go and try this export. And this one government is throwing money at it. Before you know it, everybody is coming in. So, and then if the president is talking every time it's at an event, he's talking about export, he's talking about export, he's talking about export, he's talking about export. You know, body language. And the government now is voting money in large volume to that sector to support initiative, to support production, to support. People are going to move there now. It's just common sense. So I feel that if the president take export as a project that, you know, the last administration of Nigerian Commercial Council have a tag, we call it export for survival. If we can have that kind of tag, you will say, we export or die, like someone said. Export. No, if a president is saying that, president is serious, I'm telling you, people will do it. Because some people will do it. You know, sometimes some businessmen also do some things the government wants to be seen to be helping the administration because of that favor they get from the administration. And it's going to be a lot of difference if the president takes export serious. Personally, what I'm not sure of is if they are why the advisor and not advising him on this. I still don't, because it's like something is so obvious that this is what we need to do. For one reason we are not doing it. So sometimes it's not making sense to me. I still saw one of the essay to the vice president last week, and I mentioned it. So they are working on it. We are working on it. Okay.
They don't see it as a priority.
It's obviously not a priority. It's obviously not a priority.
Okay. So the last question we talked about corn.
Okay.
Contraband item. I want to ask why, because it seems like
most products on that list are not allowed for export because of environmental issues, or because they need to create jobs locally, or because they are needed as raw material by local producers. I'm very sure of foundry needing scrap metal that is not allowed for export, and a lot of manufacturers needing corn. In fact, Nigerian corn production is even very low. People import corn into this country, and the corn imported into Nigeria is cheaper than one produced in Nigeria.
Yes, that's true.
The corn import with duty, with everything, is cheaper than one produced in Nigeria. Why? Because our cost of production is very high. So, in the bid to encourage local manufacturer, government prohibits it for export. So I export corn. So I export pap, which is a product of corn. So the government expects to add value to it to be able to export it, not to export it in the primary state.
Okay, that's fine. So my next question here is, what are some common mistakes new exporters make, and how can they be avoided?
Starting export business without export readiness.
Okay, you mentioned it.
Now, let me define export readiness, so that we don't just use words. It's a multifaceted concept that involves the ability of a business or a company to successfully enter the export market, sustainably compete in the market, and significantly grow its market share until it becomes established in the market. It's a multifaceted concept because in readiness, you are going to assess the promoter. You are going to assess the product. You are going to assess the pricing of the product for readiness. You are going to assess the staff predisposition. You are going to assess the purpose for going abroad. Now, these are company category of factors. There are also capacity category of factors. You are going to assess the capacity of the business to promote. You are going to promote in the export market. Capacity of the business, you're going to assess the capacity of the business to produce production capacity. You are going to assess the capacity of the business to raise funding, payment, get funding to pay locally or get paid from abroad. Even the competence, proficiency to manage the business, and even the positioning in the local market. Now, there is another factor that has to do with the country where the good is going. You need to assess the readiness, the understanding of the people in the export market. Also understanding the paperwork for shipment to the export market, and also understanding the potential of the product in the export market. Then there is also another group or category of readiness criteria that has to be a companion, which has to do with purchaser and partner in the export market. See, these 15 areas of readiness are extremely important. So a business wants to go into exportation that fail in this will likely have issues in the export market. Issue like delay in production, delay in procurement, delay in shipment, delay in documentation, delay in payment, or having issue with discrepancies in document, inconsistency in the documentation, document received, document sent to the buyer, and the document demanded by the buyer in the contract or in the letter of credit. Delay, discrepancy, demurrage. Demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is in the custody of the exporter, of the custody of the shipping line. So, most of the time, if I have issue with my documentation, it will cause delay. Delay will cause demurrage. Can you see how they are interrelated? Demurrage. So, delay, discrepancy, demurrage. Defective goods, that's one of the biggest challenge. Headache. Shipping goods, the good getting to destination and the quality is bad. That happens a lot for commodities.
That's a waste of resources.
It's not. You don't have an idea of how much big company lose every year by exporting products that are not, by exporting commodity that are not. Now, this now brings me to, it's funny. A business wants to export, is investing 50 million. It's finding it difficult to spend 1-2 million to learn about the business. And life, you will learn either by education or by experience. So if you fail to learn, when you have issues, you are going to lose money and you are going to learn in the process what you could have done differently. But you are still going to spend that money, only that it might not be higher than what you could have spent if exactly. So the biggest challenge for many people is the fact that many people do not see learning for any business they want to start as an investment, because they see it as a cost. If it's an investment, that means it will yield return. So I should invest. But if I see it as a cost, I see it as a waste. Why should I go and spend that kind of money to learn? Why can't I just do it? And then people do it, and then they lost money, and then they will now be wiser and now know what they could have done differently. So, apart from the fact that, in fact, the reason for export readiness for a business coming in is to be able to know what will likely create that pitfall. Because maybe I do and I realize, I have issue in this area, or I'm not ready in this area. Then it's either I get a mentor to work with me, I get someone to train me, or someone to coach me in that area so that I can learn that particular thing in order to become profitable in the export business or be able to do successfully.
So basically, you avoid mistakes by learning.
By learning, exactly. The learning reduces your error rate. Does not mean, because we are human beings, we still prone to error, but you won't be making error that can be avoided. It should be error that it should be problem like COVID. That's a problem that exactly. So that one, nobody can say, you can't be regretting that you anticipate. Nobody ever imagined COVID will happen. Now people are now putting system in place to say that, okay, even if COVID happens in future, it will not catch them unaware. Now people are doing that. But at that time, 2020, nobody imagined that would have happened. So if you can avoid it, why allow it to happen? And the way to ensure that does not happen to you is that you just learn to what was the name? Learn the business and minimize your error rate as much as possible.
Okay. So my next question is related to e-commerce.
Okay.
So it says, is it okay for exporters looking to export on a small scale to leverage e-commerce platforms like Amazon?
It depends on your strategy to enter the market. It depends on your strategy. Amazon is a retail market. Export is not retail. It's supposed to be bulk sale. Okay. So I'm sending in large quantities to someone. So if it's a retail market, so if I do Amazon, that means 2, 3, 4 people will see my product and they will order. If I'm going to do a large volume, it will take a while, unless by stroke of luck, someone who is a big buyer saw my product both on Amazon and contacted me. But besides that, it's not like so. I don't encourage an exporter to go that route. It's a long route for you to be able to achieve a container load of an item. Very long route and you might never be able to do large bulk shipment. because it now depends on how much, because you are living, unless you are still marketing to people where it's on Amazon, to just do it on Amazon, and then, but you need to just define what you want.
Okay.
What's the vision of the business? What's the objective? What does the business want to achieve in the export market? Some people might just be fine with that. We're trying to work with a client in Canada recently, and he really, that's the kind of stuff he wants. The good come, you put it on online, people post order, they'll come and pick it in his house and deliver.
I think it's because it's easier. People don't want the stress of.
No, if you want to do the business,
You have to be ready.
obviously anybody doing this has something else he wants to do. If you really want to do the business, you shouldn't be saying it's easier. Why don't you want to do the large volume? Why do you want to do the one that you are not going to be doing anything? That means you need your time for something else. Then that's understandable. But if you really want to do the business very well, then you should be looking at doing bulk shipment. So I would rather you use online platform as a means of reaching potential buyer, not a means of selling in retail. So Amazon for me is a no.
Okay. So that's all the questions I have for today's episode. And I hope and I believe that you've learned a thing or two from today's episode. We look forward to having you in our next episode.
It's good also for them, based on what we discussed, for them to ask questions. Drop your question in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, because those are the things that will help us in the next episode. You know, sometimes we post online, people ask a lot of questions, which we are going to go and check and begin to get some of those questions to answer. So if you are watching this on YouTube, drop your question on YouTube, and we will definitely pick up the question, and it will be one of the subsequent episodes of the Trade Talk program.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.